This week I'm going to reflect on my tutor group. Last reflection I spoke about a SEAL activity that I'd carried out with my tutor group, and I'd like to spend this week's reflection talking about the progress that I feel I've made with the tutor group. So the situation is that I have a Year 11 tutor group which I have to share with another member of staff. This is the third tutor that they've had in 4 years. The class does display some challenging behaviour, and really it's not an ideal situation for a Year 11 tutor group who've already had 2 other tutors to be going into their final year of high school having 2 members of staff that they have no previous relationship with for their final year. So my initial thoughts were concerned really. I was concerned with the continuity, very little relationship built up with these children. Of course I do know some of them, and I have contact, or have had contact with many of them, but no continual relationship building has been possible. So I'm going into the Year 11 tutor group with them seeing me as just another member of staff, and also my concern is that this Year 11 is a very important year for them, and I don't want them to think that they're being passed from pillar to post and it's just another member of staff that's turned up for us this time. So what did I do? Well, the first thing I tried to do, and I feel I have been successful in, is to build a relationship with the pupils, to try and be a friendly face that they meet at the beginning of their school day. And whilst obviously I did want the tutor to be able to be a time to build a relationship, I didn't want it to be chaotic, so I wanted some sort of formality within the tutor, a set of rules that we all had to adhere to. So I set this out from the very beginning with just kind of clear rules, such as, you take your coat off when you come into tutor, you sit down, we're going to do equipment checks, so please bring your pen, your pencil, your calculator and whatever. I'm just going to quote now from Nikolai Bukhanok. He actually wrote a paper called Building Relationships with Young People. He says, trying to build a proper relationship with young people in a modern society is especially important, seeing that a young soul has been overexposed to violence and other vices in the list of negativity through all-pervading media. It's actually a matter of being self-protectors, thinking of our future, that should force us building better communication links with younger people, trying to figure out what they think of contemporary world issues, family relations, just whatever the social matters that we may think of. Millions of times have we stressed upon the importance of communication among other people. However tedious it is to reiterate, the value of speaking and listening to a young person cannot be overestimated. If it is not your time and attention, the chances are high that younger people are going to be heard and influenced by something or someone that neither of you will be happy to welcome. And also a point that I think interestingly makes, it is a highly dangerous environment called modern world. We are accountable to build the appropriate connection to our children, surpassing that obsolete paradigm that states that someone is right just because they are older. And that basically is what I was trying to do with my form group. These young people are leaving school in less than a year, a very short amount of time. They're going to be in the workplace, and I wanted to try, whilst having the formality and the set of rules I wanted them to adhere to, which I also link to the outside world and to getting a job or going to college. That, you know, I wanted to treat them like adults and have more of an adult professional relationship with them, and I hoped that they would appreciate this. The head of house, although he also admitted that the situation was far from ideal, he wanted the form monitored properly and actioned upon accordingly, as well as seal activities being carried out. So what strategies did I use? I'm just going to quote to you again, if I may. This is actually a quote from the Australian government, who did research into building relationships, making education work, and report on the perspectives of young people. And just quite an interesting point that I think that they have made, I'm just going to read out now. The most important factors connecting young people to school were linked to relationships, friendships with other students, and relationships with teachers that involved mutual respect and responsibility. The major concerns cited by young people who were disaffected by school were their relationships with teachers, the way teachers treated them, teaching methods used which they felt were barriers to engagement and continuation, and a lack of what they considered appropriate subject choices for their career goals. So just to touch there upon that importance of building relationships with young people, I hoped that in their final year of high school, the most important school year of their academic life, if I could build a positive relationship with them, be a positive person that they could connect with at the beginning of the day, then this would have influence over their education, the way they're perceived at school, and hopefully their academic achievements at the end of it. And the strategies that I used were being approachable, telling them that if there's a problem, come and see me, being consistent in the rules, and actioning if the pupils were consistent in adhering to the rules. So you know, they did get behaviour points if they didn't have their equipment, or if they refused to take their coat off in tutor, or were poorly behaved in assembly, etc. I also rewarded with achievement points, and for some pupils in the form, especially the challenging behaviour boys, you know, the achievement points that I'm giving them for turning up to tutor, for being on time, for having their equipment, for listening to seal activities, you know, these are the only achievement points that these fellas are getting, and at least I'm doing that, and I'm rewarding them, and they're seeing me as a positive role model, hopefully. And did it work? I think it did. It certainly wasn't overnight. I mean, I've been with them now for approximately 5 months, and I have managed to build a relationship with them, even with the challenging boys, because I've been consistent with them. I'm following up poor behaviour. So, for instance, 2 boys were very late one morning. I asked them to come in because the bell had just gone for the start of the school day, and they walked off. So therefore, I rang the pastoral manager and had them picked up and spoken to. Taking coats off to come to tutor. Again, I still might have to ask 3 or 4 times, but they do it now. They do follow instruction. And they ask me for my advice. I've noticed recently they'll come up to me in tutor time and they'll ask me advice about career choices, college choices, just even simpler things about how to approach teachers, or coursework or homework that is due in. One really positive outcome I'd just like to refer to, one girl in my form, LJ, She's also in my drama BTEC, and I've managed to slowly build a relationship with her. And this girl never smiles, she looks very sad all of the time, and slowly but surely I've managed to get her to open up to me, to talk to me, and she smiles now, and that really touches me, because I feel she would never have done that a few months ago. She looked permanently unhappy all of the time and stressed, which, you know, obviously at this time in their school careers they are stressed, but she never looked happy, and let a lot of things affect her. So I've managed to speak to her and give her strategies, coping strategies for these last few months of school. She was dreadfully unhappy in a drama lesson a couple of weeks ago, and actually asked for me specifically, and the teacher came out and asked me to go in, and you know, I managed to sort the problem out and talk around and managed to get back into the classroom. That would never have happened a few months ago, and I think that is down to the work that I've been doing with the tutor group and building these positive relationships. What would I do differently? I share a tutor group. I do it 2 mornings a week, and the other guy does it, the other teacher does it 3 mornings a week. He's been off poorly, and I didn't even realise that different members of staff have been sporadically going in, and I spoke to one girl, and they said they'd been left outside the classroom one morning because there was some confusion over who was doing the tutor. So what I offered to do was to go in every day. If my colleague was off poorly, then I'd phone the cover supervisor, the person that organises the cover supervisors, and said, don't send anyone else in, just put me down. And I will go in and do it. And I've had quite a few weeks of doing that now, and that's really, really helped in building the relationships with them. They see me now as a constant, someone that cares about them, and is willing to give up my time to come and tutor them. I would have done that sooner, if upon reflection. I wish I'd have done, and if I did it again, I would definitely do it sooner, to get in there, to be with them consistently earlier on.